In E.O. Wilson's scheme of human threats to biodiversity, we're now to the final category of human threats to biodiversity, the O, and that stands for over harvest. Now, this was an idea that no one, for a long time, 100 years ago or more, no one could even conceive of the idea that humans could hunt a species to extinction. But we've found that we absolutely can. The most common bird in America, largest numbers of all birds in America, was something called the passenger pigeon. It was the most common bird in America, and it was driven to extinction by market hunters. It tasted good, and it was easy to kill. They would fly in flocks, these gigantic flocks, and you could just stand out there with a shotgun and kill them. Boom, boom, boom. And so they said, hey, it's a great way to make a living, and it tastes like chicken, right? so the passenger pigeon, I think I have a video, or maybe I don't. I used to have a video. In your slide package, you see a bird in a glass case laying on its back. That is the very last passenger pigeon that ever lived. It was in a zoo, I think it was in Cincinnati, and when it died, they stuffed it. They decided, well, it's dead. So they stuffed it and put it in a case as a way to remind people that, humans, this is on us. We did it. We drove them to extinction, basically because they taste good. I'd mentioned before, I said bisons. Bisons were nearly driven to extinction. And the amazing thing with them is we didn't even take the meat, except for, the tongue and the hide. People like their tongue. So they would go out, and there were millions of them. It's a similar scenario with the passenger pigeon. There were so many of them out there. You just go out and shoot them, skin the skin off of them, and make leather out of it. Take the tongue and eat that. And so that's some examples of one species that was driven to extinction and one that was almost. Now, another thing that I was surprised when I started teaching this class was I was surprised to find out that at your local superstore, you might wonder, where do they get these little cactus that they sell? Well, they know that what happens is they're in places like Mexico, they're harvested illegally, and then those are sold to a distributor, and then they're just sort of legally imported into this country. But some large percentage of the cactus that are available at your local superstore might or have been harvested probably illegally. Fish, the aquarium fish, there's some examples of that as well. So the final point in this discussion of human threats to biodiversity is over harvest. Now, one final point, the next slide deals with predator control. In the USA today, we still have bounties on predators, and it's derived from this idea that predators are bad. And at the very beginning of this chapter, we were talking about how we know that the loss of predators has a very bad negative effect on the biodiversity and the functionality of ecosystems. We need these predators. But right now, we even still today